What's going on, everybody? It's Tej back for the Hurry Up Offense. Glad to have you here this week. And it's not just me, as always, joined by the Shaman of Sharp Bets. JT, how's it been, man?
Going good. Moving to a new place. First recording in the new place, so we're excited, man.
Also in a new home of sorts is the a prophet of plus money plays, Mason. You're in a new room today. We're digging the lights, but how you been, man?
Yeah, man. New room, got some new furniture, so there's no more echo. So I'm back in my usual spot. Yeah, last week betting wise was not good. What a surprise. But like I say, we move forward. So
yeah, at least you weren't the guy who, hey, by the way, if you want to see our picks for the entire week, there's a link to our picks league in the description. At least you didn't forget to click save and have your picks, in. So it could be worse. You could be an idiot like me. But hey, we're going to take you through 5 games today. Again, if you want to see our entire, outlook for this week, go check out that picks league link in the description. Also, if you want to hear the audio version instead of the video version, I'll make sure that link is in the description as well. It's on Spotify, Apple, wherever you get your podcasts. But we're going to be talking Thursday Night Football, one 1 o'clock game, one 4 o'clock game from Sunday, then Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. But first, we actually have a couple rhythm throws I want to talk to you about. We'll talk about the 49ers later with one of our games, but, Jimmy Garoppolo injury, that's obviously a big one. I don't think Brock Purdy played all that well. I mean, I guess he was fine, but I wasn't really inspired. Now they signed Josh Johnson. Baker Mayfield's also released. He was claimed by the Rams, though, so we'll even talk about the Rams here in a little bit, but give me y'all's quick, kind of thoughts on the San Francisco quarterback position. And, did Jimmy G getting hurt, did that kind of just end their Super Bowl hopes? JT, I'll start with you.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely Jimmy G has kind of turned. I don't know, when they made NFC Championship a couple years ago, I was a big Jimmy G hater. I've since changed my stance. I think he's pretty good. You can't argue with the numbers that he puts, or not the numbers, just like the consistent winning, to be honest.
Yeah, the win percentage, right.
Yeah, and any replacement over him, or not over him, but like any replacement in his injuries and things like that, there's a clear, like, off a cliff drop off. So I think that just kind of continues, man. Yeah, that takes him from a Super Bowl contender to, I don't know, they might be able to spoil somebody in the first round of the playoffs, but like that's kind of their upside to me without Jimmy G, to be honest.
And Mason, what do you think? Do you think this just kind of spoiled the season for San Francisco?
With the record now, I wouldn't say it spoils it completely. I didn't even know he broke his foot. Tells you how much I paid attention to those games. Yeah, I found out he broke his foot literally last night. So it definitely hurts. Their defense is going to have to carry now even more heavily. I wouldn't say it spoils it, but like JT said, definitely, decreases their chances, I think, of making the Super Bowl, but we'll see.
I'm actually a pretty big Josh Johnson guy. Now, granted, I'm not saying he's a top 32 quarterback, not by any stretch, but he played for the Jets in this offense, or, variant of it for Mike LaFleur in New York. So he's familiar with this. He's actually played, this will be his 3rd stint in San Francisco. So he's familiar with the team, familiar with the offense. So I think that's a pretty stable floor. I think he's probably a better option than Brock Purdy. The other big piece of news that actually happened today, as we're recording this on Tuesday, Tennessee Titans fired their general manager, John Robinson. I even put out a short talking about this. I mean, it was kind of surprising to me because he has been a perfect GM, right? And, A.J. Brown probably didn't make for a good case considering the game he just had against, Tennessee. But nonetheless, I think he's been a solid drafter. He's made some, mistakes. Of course, your Isaiah Wilson moves. You're going to have that. Every GM has misses. And same thing with free agency, but he kind of struggles when it comes to the contract side, maybe. But I thought of him as, maybe a top 16, maybe even top 12 GM coming into the season. But he's now out of a job. But let me hear y'all's initial thoughts.
It feels like an emotional firing. Like, the AJ Brown going off against you, like, I don't know, it feels like childish almost that they fired him, like directly following that. If you look at their rosters, like, they're achieving what they should. Like, I don't know, like, their rosters are built pretty well by the GM, and they're achieving about what they can. I don't see any, like, there's no like glaring like, oh man, they botched that trade, like they botched this signing. I don't know. I think it's dumb. So yeah, I don't know kind of why he got fired. I think it's just kind of an emotional decision on the owner's parts, I guess, or whoever kind of makes that final.
Yeah, I mean, I think the AJ Brown thing plays a factor. I mean, I think he's had bad signings, right? Like, I give him credit. He's the guy who brought Tannehill to Tennessee and made them like serious AFC contenders. But that Tannehill extension is putting a huge, tax literally on what their cap space is going to be like moving forward. And then Bud Dupree, Harold Landry, they're fine, but
Bud Dupree was kind of an L. I'm not gonna lie.
They shouldn't be making the money they are. So he's definitely had some big swings to the bat and then come up empty a handful of times. Mason, any initial thoughts you want to share?
Not much other than the fact that I didn't see it coming, from a team that's well in the playoff race. So.
Winning their division.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah, and it sounds like Ryan Coward, maybe is his last name, Cohen. Sorry, I can't think of his last name off the top, but he's going to be the acting general manager. And then Mike Vrabel is going to step into more player personnel decisions. So I think that's an interesting trend because Bill Belichick, Ron Rivera, Sean Payton's going to want that. I think that's going to become a thing where if you become a head coach that proves themselves, that's going to be the next thing they ask for. Maybe even more than they're going to want to raise with it, but maybe even more than just the monetary raise. They're going to want control of the roster. So it'd be interesting to see what Mike Vrabel and Ryan Cohen, I think is the name, what they do with the roster moving forward. But with all that aside, let's go ahead and jump into our first game to preview this week. Thursday Night Football, man, I feel bad for Kirk Herbstreit now, Michael. It feels like they always get the L game of the week. It's the Las Vegas Raiders and the LA Rams. Raiders are favored by 6. That says how bad the Rams are right now. Granted, Vegas has won 3 games in a row, but how about this stat drop? Their win on Sunday was their first win in regulation since week 7. Almost half of the season we're in now ago. Insane. So, Mason, do you have any leans on this one? Or are you going to watch this game? I feel like that's a valid question here.
Yeah, I mean, since it's on TV, I'll probably watch it. I won't really pay much attention to it. But dude, like as a bettor this year, the Raiders have absolutely shredded me. I bet them 1 week they lose. I don't bet them, they win. So I definitely don't trust them to, cover the 6 points. So I saw your notes, TJ. I like the teaser play of the Raiders to win outright and then the under. So
yeah, if you move that total to 49.5,
right.
Considering, I don't think Baker plays in this game either. I feel like that's something we have to talk about. He's been claimed by the Rams off of waivers. I have a hard time thinking he's going to turn around in 2 days and play. So you're talking about Bryce Perkins and, an underperforming Raiders team trying to score 50. I just don't see it happen. So I like pick them there with the Raiders and then under that total. So thanks for the shout out there. That was one of my points. I think that's a good play. And then one of the interesting matchups here is Devontae Adams versus Jalen Ramsey. So that might be one of the big things I'm watching for in this one. But JT, what are you looking for in this matchup? Do you have a lean here, or you can even touch the -6?
6 is a tough number. The Raiders are kind of surging though. Their offense has found a bit of a groove. They're just riding Josh Jacobs to the end, and he's performing, man. He's making a lot of guys miss right now, not really going down first contact. So that's kind of opened up their offense. I think they're getting a lot less. Devontae Adams is having a lot more room to work with, just having the box a little bit more full. He's getting less doubles on the back end, just because of Josh Jacobs kind of, performing a lot better. That being said, I don't know the Raiders, because I've watched a lot of their games over the past couple weeks, and they're getting really good pass protection. I don't know how well that holds up against the Rams. I think the Rams might have a little bit of a good, decent matchup against them as far as like generating pressure. Because if you looked at the beginning of the Raiders season, they weren't getting wins, and Derek Carr had no time to throw the ball.
Right. Yeah.
And over these past few weeks, when they've been stacking up a couple wins, scoring a lot of points, he's had all day in the pocket. Like some of the best pass protecting I've seen this year has been from the Raiders the past 3 weeks. I just don't know if that holds up. So I lean Rams +6, I think, just for that fact. And also the Raiders defense isn't stopping anybody. So I'm not really worried about the Rams having a backup at quarterback. I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't like the 6. I think that's a tough number to try to play around with. So again, this is a teaser. Like one other bet, maybe. It's tough with these defensive stat props because like you could take Micah Parsons the other night, Sunday Night Football. It was like over a quarter of a sack, which basically can he get half a sack? And it's -165. So it's like, do I even bother, right? Like, is this even worth touching? So depending where Max Crosby's line is at, best pass rush on the team, the Rams offensive line is absolutely abysmal. So if it's like get a sack and it's plus money, I might be tempted to play that, but that might be the only other prop that kind of catches my eye on this one. It's a rough game to watch. Now, it'd be interesting to see what the Rams do moving forward, right? No Aaron Donald in this game either, which is interesting. But those stars, I kind of want to pick your brain. This is kind of off-season free agency talk, but what do you think the Rams look like next year? Do you think Matt Stafford's coming back? Do you think Aaron Donald Sean McVay for that matter? Like, do you think the Rams kind of disassemble next year, or you're like, no, they're going to try it at least one more time? JT, I'll start with you.
I'd have to take a look at their cap situation and kind of where they're at in contracts with a lot of these players. I think, man, if you're at the end of a lot of these contracts, you remember Stafford's contract, how many years he has left on that?
I can look it up.
I was gonna say, if we're kind of nearing the end, if Stafford's got like 1 year left, I'd run it back until kind of the end of his contract, and then from there, honestly, I'd probably just blow it up. Jalen Ramsey's not going to get any better over the next 5 years. Neither is Aaron Donald. It's just time, like he's just going to they're both going to get older. We've seen the peak of both of them. They're still they're there or close to it, but you're not going to get anything better out of them. So, as a GM move, I think I would kind of look to get a little younger and get some talent in there.
Yeah, so I'm looking at some of these contracts, and Aaron Donald, I think this is the keynote. Stafford's got plenty of years left on his deal. For him, I think it would be more of like a retirement route, getting into his mid-30s. But Donald, they have a potential out after next season. And I think that's realistically the timetable. That's kind of what I anticipated, but then you also see Sean McVay getting chipped in the head by a helmet, and I know what he's saying under his breath is like, just get me up in the booth. I don't want to be down here anymore. Like, I don't want to do this. And, some of those other key pieces, Jalen Ramsey, like you said, eventually going to be hitting that 30-year-old mark. And then how much do you want to pay him once he hits that? So I think in about 2 years is probably a realistic point, but I could see it happening this offseason. Mason, what do you think?
Yeah, I can definitely see it happening this offseason. I know a month ago the rumors were floating around, so it's definitely been talked about. And that was at the beginning of their losing streak. So now present day they've lost 6 or 7 in a row at this point. So you got to think it's a little more talked about now. So I don't know.
Yeah, and I mean, I think it was Rappaport who put out the tweet with Stafford. It sounds like he's planning to come back unless McVay decides to leave. So it feels like Sean McVay is the big domino. If he stays, then all those other big pieces will come back. They'll try to run it back. But if he decides like, hey, fuck this, I'm done, I'm going to the booth, they might be like, all right, peace. Like Donald flirted retirement at the end of last year. I could see Stafford doing the same thing. So just something to keep your eye on. I'm a big offseason geek. I love team building process. So they're going to be an interesting team to watch from that perspective. But anyways, we move on to our first Sunday game now. The Minnesota Vikings and the Detroit Lions. I got to start with you, JT, here. The Lions are favored by 2.5. Now, look, they've won 4 of their last 5 or something thereabout. The Vikings are the 2 seed in the NFC. How are the Lions favored here, my man?
Yeah, I guess I don't know. It's a weird line. To me, I guess they're looking at like variance and like playing the kind of interdivision, division matchup at home. Lions are out here to prove something. I don't know if you want to call it that.
Vikings won the first matchup, right?
Yeah, we won the first matchup. I think it was a late win though. But if you watch the game, we were in control of most of the game. I have to pull that up. But yeah, no, I don't know. It's just a weird line. It's just strange. But it's also one that like makes me not want to bet the Vikings because it came out with it started with Lions favored. So obviously they know something we don't. Or something like, if you want to call it that. I will say our cornerback health is just getting worse and worse and worse. Opposite Pat Pete. Pat Pete has been great, but he's still 45 or whatever he is. So he's been good. He's been really good. But on the other side, he's got no help. So you see us running this kind of like shell defense where we're like try to bend and not break, even though we do break most times. But like the reason is we can't play any different. Like we don't have the personnel to not play that. Otherwise we're giving up 60-yard bombs all game long if we try to press with our corners that we have. We're working with practice squad corners all over the place. So, the Lions should put up some points. A good play here might be, I think I saw -2. The Lions were -2. Just teasing the Vikings to the +4 and then maybe the over 47 if you think it's going to be a shootout. I could see that. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird line that the Lions came out favored. It's just strange, but I could see it too. The Vikings are kind of due for a letdown or I don't know, Kirk just
chucks 3 picks or something.
Yeah, like he's just I don't know, just throws a couple panic balls or something, and then Jamal Williams is able to run in a couple from the 4-yard line, or I don't know. It could happen. I don't think it's but the problem is you have to I think I still lean Vikings though, because you have to make up your own game script to not go that way.
Yeah, I think forward thinking logic has you with the Vikings. So that's the way I'm going to roll. I think you have to come up, like you said, with an excuse for why the Lions win. I do want to go back. It was week 3 when these two teams played. It was a 28-24 win for Minnesota, with the Vikes winning the fourth quarter 14-0. So a bit of a comeback there. The Lions, won the third quarter 10-0. So back and forth there in the second half, but pretty wild. But I think Jason Garrett, he may not say a whole lot of things that I think are really funny or really smart, but he actually, I think, said it pretty well on Sunday Night Football or Sunday Night in America, whatever that pregame show is. But the Vikings won the red zone. I feel like nobody says that because it's who won the third down battle or, who won the turnover battle. But I mean, the Jets got in the red zone 6 times and only punched it in for 7 once.
Mm-hmm.
So they can do that again this week. I think that's going to be a huge indicator for the Vikings to be able to pull this win off. I'd love the Justin Jefferson props. They're not live now, but whatever they are, over.
He had 14 yards when they played last. He had 14 yards receiving.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's not happening again. And the fact that we scored 28 without him doing anything,
that's impressive.
It's a good sign. So I don't know.
Also, this Lions run defense has been pretty rough, so like Dalvin Cook could be a decent prop bet. But what I was really getting back at, division games can be weird or whatever, but the real battle here is I think Jamal Williams makes, and Amon-Ra St. Brown for that matter, the Lions red zone offense I think it has the talent to be able to break through against Minnesota. So if this becomes a battle of 20 yards, Vikings defense versus the Lions offense, I think the Lions offense has what it takes to be able to punch in the end zone, and that will be, I think, the true X factor in this game. But Mason, let me hear your thoughts on this one.
Yeah, so that's what I think it's what it's going to come down to. Like you said, Vikings won the last game, but it was a come from behind win. So I like the Lions at home. I think it'll be a close one.
You've been big on the Lions lately. You've been big on the Lions.
Yeah, just at home. I don't know what it is. Just that energy for whatever reason. But I'm definitely high on the Vikings too. I just don't like them in this spot. With the Lions already being favored, it's already a little bit sketchy. But yeah, I teased it down. Let me pull it up. Let's see. Go to my notes. I think it was Vikings +8 or +8. Yeah, Vikings +8 and the over 47.
Yeah.
I think a lot of points are going to be scored in this game. And we've seen that all year with the Lions, especially the Vikings too. So I don't know. That's what I like. So
and 2 teams with not great secondaries. So yeah, I can totally see that. And also like Vikings +8.5.
Oh yeah, Vikings
any
+8. I said
week, that's got to be in it.
I said +4 earlier. Yeah, it's +8. I flipped the line as if
I know
your favorite. That's what's wild.
Oh, yeah, facts.
You can get them +8.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Like +8 and over 47. That's the move.
And maybe part of the reason the Lions are favored here was this was the game they won last year. That I think they were winless up until they played Minnesota. They won that game in Detroit. But, I got to give a ton of credit to Kevin O'Connell, the whole new regime, honestly, because, the Vikings, they're still always stuck in close games. Like even last week against the Jets, they could have like pulled away and closed it out. They always play close games, but y'all are 9-0 in 1-score games this year. Mike Zimmer is somewhere crying, wondering how he could have done the same thing. And I think that's the difference. So even if this game's close, give me the Vikings. They've been proven winners in this spot.
Yeah, it's a weird, we're winning these close games. It's not because we're 2 or 3 points better than them that day. It's because Kevin O'Connell's making decisions that keep the game as such. Like if you watch the offensive play calling, he's being very conservative. Defensive play calling. If it's 4th and 3 at the opponent's 45, we're punting. We're not going for it to seal the game. Sure. He's making a bunch of decisions that are keeping the scores close when the game's really not as close as they look. I.e. the Jets game. We had an opportunity to seal it out. I'm pretty sure it was 4th and 3, 4th and 4 at about midfield. And I'm sitting here please go for it. And we punt. It ended up working out for us, but I mean, barely. Mike White still had a good shot at the end zone at the end of the game, but
no, y'all are a couple made Mike White throws away from losing that game for sure.
Yeah, that's why. But like I said, it's more O'Connell is choosing to keep these games close. Yeah. It's working now. I just wonder if that can kind of sustain. Definitely not at a 9-0 clip. There's no shot. But
yeah, we'll and I know you and I have talked about it. And I think Mason as well. But yeah, when it comes to those when you use analytics, but you open up the chance for you to close out a game, I'm always for you control your own destiny.
You have the ball
down versus
if
punting it away.
You have the ball. And you can win the game while you have the ball. You are calling the play that dictates the start of the action and where it's going and all that. You have that control. You take it.
I mean, look at the Saints on Monday Night Football, right? I mean, you're just waiting for something bad to happen. Anyways, I think that's always just something I'm keeping in the back of my mind. How can you win this game versus how can you not have someone else lose it for you? Something like that.
Yeah.
But anyways, game number 3, 4:00 slate. Speaking of the Tampa Bay Bucs, Brady's now got the NFL record for most fourth quarter and overtime comebacks, and he's taking on San Francisco, the team he grew up, loving and cheering for as a kid. So that'll be interesting. But we talked about the quarterback situation for the 49ers, and this is a game where the better QB is getting points. So Mason, I start with you. Are you taking Tampa Bay here? Over the course of the season, we've become a pretty anti-trust Tampa Bay, show and podcast. So are you breaking that rule here, or are you rolling with San Francisco?
Dude, I don't know, man. with with them not having a quarterback now, it just screams that Brady gets this easy win. They're gonna win the division. He squeaks by, but dude, I don't know if dude, it was bad last night.
They're awful. They're
so
not
bad.
good.
They're so.
And now you got to play against the San Francisco defense, dude. Come on.
Yeah, and it's so tough because like I want to love Todd Bowles as a coach. I hear that nothing but great things about him as a person. And there's not enough African American coaches in the league, in my opinion. But dude, him and Byron Leftwich are actively losing them games. Leftwich in specific, like his play calling is, bro.
Think about the weapons in this game, like on both sides, and the over/under is 37.5.
Right.
like, bro, that's
a great
all
point.
you need to know, dude. Oh, that's absurd.
Yeah, and Tom Brady's the quarterback that's healthy playing this game, and still 37 is insane. So, yeah, this game is going to be brutal. And like I could almost say, hey, well, if you like Tampa Bay, you could tease them out to 9.5 and then over 31. But are 31 points scored in this game?
I like the teaser that Mason had in his notes.
Oh,
the 9.5 and the under.
Oh yeah.
9.5 and under.
Dude, I almost
under
forgot
43.5.
Yeah.
I'll probably play that one. I like that.
Yeah, and ultimately, I'm going to roll with San Francisco, even with the hook. This may end up being a 3-point game. So honestly, I think San Francisco's best used is like a money line that you're sprinkling into a boosted, stepped-up parlay. Or
you think they definitely win?
Definitely is tough. I just like how the 49ers can generate pressure, especially against an offensive line that's really struggled this year. Is Tristan Wirfs going to be playing? That's something to monitor. But like Donovan Smith, literally on that last comeback drive, is actively trying to lose Tampa Bay that game. Him and Byron Leftwich are like working together to try to get a better draft pick, I guess, for Tampa or something. But yeah, I think Nick Bosa goes crazy in this game against Donovan Smith. But also they use so much stunts and twists, like we saw it against Miami. The interior offensive line is not going to have a chance, and that's been the problem unit really all year long for Tampa. So I think again, that's why I don't think we're not even 31 points scored in this game. This could be like 17-3 or 14-3 for that matter. So I think there's enough pressure generated. Brady's uncomfortable, and I just trust San Francisco, D'Amico Ryans in that defense. So I like San Francisco as something you add to a parlay as a money line bet, or if you're doing like a stepped up same game parlay, money line here, and then you add some other some bets. But what do you think, JT? You're the one we haven't heard from yet.
I don't know, man. 49ers with a backup, I really think it's going to be a big difference in their output. Their defense has just been really good, so that's what makes me hesitant to bet the Bucs. Is just because of how good the 49ers defense has been and how anemic the Buccaneers offense looks. Like, they look terrible. Leonard Fournette is so out of shape. They just look bad, dude. And Rachaad White, he's all right. Like, I don't know, dude. He's okay. Godwin and Mike Evans, they're some dogs, but Brady's missing throws that we don't typically see him miss. Whether it be, I don't know. I think he's just pressing. Even like when he has a clean pocket, he's still missing a couple that he typically doesn't. I think it's understandably pressing. Trying to, almost have like a come from behind season at this point.
Yeah.
With them being kind of in the playoff hunt now and kind of riding the ship a little bit, maybe we see him settle in a little bit, make a little bit more throws. I lean Bucs plus 3.5, just because I think 3.5, to me, you get the hook. That's enough for me, and a spot against a backup quarterback. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. Bucs defense is still okay. They're not bad. They're not giving up a ton of points. Yeah, they're not giving up a ton of points against a backup quarterback. I like that. It's kind of we talk about this all the time. You look at the spread, like size versus the total. So like the total is at 37.5, 3.5 points is not a huge part of that, but it's a decent chunk of that 37.5.
It's a lot more valuable than if it was at 47.5 or whatever.
Right. So that's kind of where I lean with the points. Give me the Bucs and the points if I'm going to bet it. But interesting to see if Brady and the Bucs kind of can. They're still, to me, not legitimate contenders. But I think having like a nice win here might show as such. If they can actually generate some offense, that would be a big statement for them.
No doubt. And it'll be interesting. This and the Lions Vikings game, I'm going to be monitoring the line. One, if it gets, for this game in specific, it gets inside 3. If it gets to 49ers 2.5, I'll probably let it fly. But then for the Vikings Lions game, it's always interesting because we're all saying, why are the Vikings getting points here? But then if the line continues to move against them, that should be a little bit of a red flag with like, hey, maybe there's something we just don't know yet. I'm interested to see something similar happens here. Tampa Bay's coming off a big win, on prime time. Where's this line go? So something to monitor there, maybe how that matches up with, Twitter discourse or something like that. But Going to be an interesting game, but it could also turn into a snooze fest pretty quickly. Let's move on to Sunday Night Football. Speaking of the Miami Dolphins, favored by 3.5. This line opened up at 2.5, actually. They're taking on the LA Chargers in SoFi, over under set to 52. On Monday, I grabbed Miami at 2.5, so I definitely liked it at that value. 3.5, I'm still probably taking the Dolphins on the road. Mason, what do you think about this one?
What did you say you grabbed it at? Sorry, I didn't hear that.
2.5. When the lines opened Monday, I got it at 2.5, so I got lucky there. I got some closing line value.
Yeah, it being Tuesday, I like the Chargers to bounce back at home. Prime time, last time we saw them in prime time, it was against the Chiefs. They probably played the best game of the year, and, they still came out with the loss. But I think, this time around going against Tua, who's been great this year, don't get me wrong, with both teams needing a win pretty badly, the Chargers a little bit more. I like them to bounce back here, especially with them getting 3.5. I like that hook already. Not sure if I'll bet the money line or not, but I just think they bounce back big at home. I think they need a win. I think they get a win, but that's where I stand.
JT, what are you thinking?
I'm starting to become a Dolphins believer on the season as a whole. I like them as a legit contender for the Super Bowl, personally. I believe in Tua. He's making all the throws. I didn't believe in him until I watched, I sat down, I watched consecutive drives of him executing the offense. It's like art. It's really crazy.
For sure.
He's just diming. It's like textbook. Not missing any throws, throwing at the right time every single time. Where when a quarterback makes a throw and two DBs hit each other, they're locked in. That's the type of throws that he's making, week in and week out. Still have their weapons healthy on both sides, and then Mostert's coming back. They still got Jeff Wilson, so they've got some weapons all over the place. I don't think they're slowing down anytime soon. It's interesting to see. I want to know whether or not Mike Williams is playing. Before I bet this. I don't know that he will because he hasn't practiced in, I think, 2 straight weeks. This being Sunday Night Football, you get a little bit of extra time to kind of wait and see. Mm-hmm. I think it's really surprising to me because I'm not a huge Mike Williams guy. I don't love people that can't separate, and he doesn't do a great job of separation. He wins a lot of 50-50 balls. Personally, I don't like that in a receiver. I like winning 50-50 balls, but I prefer somebody who can get open on their own and not be thrown open, that kind of deal. But that being said, Mike Williams says it's crazy how rough the offense has looked without him and how good it was the 1 week he came back right before he got injured. They were clicking, they were humming. And then now he goes down and it's right back to what is this offense? They have it looks like they have no plan. They have no ability to get a defense on its heels. So I don't know. That being said, everything kind of points towards the Dolphins in that respect. But it's another. I don't like betting against Justin Herbert, in general. I don't like betting against Mahomes. I don't like betting against Herbert. I don't like betting against Josh Allen because no matter what, they can just they can explode and your money's gone. You could have had the right game script, the right injury report, all that, and it doesn't matter because they're just that talented. So I don't think I'll bet it. And the total being at 52, not touching that either. So I'm probably just gonna watch, sit back and enjoy the game. I'll probably bet something just to have something going on a Sunday.
Just to feel something.
Well, look, just to feel something. I'll bet something just because it's an island game. Everybody's gonna be watching prime time, and there's also fun athletes to watch on the field.
You get the first touchdown boost.
Yeah, I'll throw a first touchdown on there somewhere. But other than that, I'm just gonna sit back and watch the game, man. Enjoy it.
Yeah, well, I was the one who hit on the first touchdown bet this Sunday Night Football, so I'll let you all know what I'm playing this week. No, I'm joking. I'm nothing special there. But, okay, so I think you raised a couple of really interesting points you both do. So I'll start with JT. I think the reason the offense looks so different without Mike Williams is because that's the only guy that it feels like Justin Herbert's willing to throw a deep ball to. And then once you take away that deep element and everything's underneath, everything's Austin Eckler, everything's Keenan Allen out of the slot, okay, cool. I'll sit on everything 5 yards in front of me. What do you want? So I feel like that's part of it. And just even the 5 plays or whatever he played against Kansas City, the offense looked drastically better, and then he gets hurt after that one insane catch on the sideline.
Yeah.
So frustrating from that perspective. I think this is a game where it'll be interesting to see what Raheem Mostert and how, does he have a snap count? Because otherwise, I love Jeff Wilson running props. Now, granted, Vegas is going to bake in the fact the Chargers can't stop a run game to save their life. But even so, this run scheme against the Chargers run defense, I might be able to run for 40 yards. And I'm a bum. I'm a bozo. So that's selling something. And I think Jeff Wilson's a legitimately solid starting back. And I got him in fantasy. So I need him to go big this week. So I think his prompts are really enticing. And also, I think this is one of the other things that's going to intrigue me from this game is the pressure, if the Chargers can generate any. The one thing I saw from Tua last week that I haven't seen this season was he had some mad happy feet last week. And I think part of that comes back to the San Francisco pressure, especially that interior stuff that comes in his face. The one time he had clean footwork was that dime to Tyreek Hill. I almost called him Tua Tagovailoa. That bomb to Tyreek. And it's because no pressure was in his face and he just split cover two. Also, Talanoa Hufanga kind of missed an assignment there, but it's okay. I think that's, if the Chargers can't generate pressure, I like the Dolphins by a good bit here, honestly, because the Chargers offense is just not living up to expectations. So what more can I say about that? So any final thoughts there? Either one of you two?
On your Jeff Wilson comment, I will just note Mostert did outpace him 7 carries to 1 last week.
Jeff Wilson had 1 carry last week?
They had 8 carries total, and 7 were Mostert, and 1 was Jeff Wilson. Neither one of them did much. Mostert had...
I mean, they were throwing the whole game, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, they're throwing too much. That's a problem.
Wow, that is a stat drop. I mean, obviously, I do the show and I keep up and I try to know as much. That stat doesn't even make sense.
Well, I noticed every time I would flip the game, and every time I looked up, Mostert was on the field, and I was like, okay, because I've got him in fantasy in the same league or whatever. But I'm thinking Mostert's going to be eased back in, and then I saw him on the field more than Jeff Wilson, so I was like, all right, that's kind of interesting. Something to note, I've got it pulled up. Tua had a QBR of 19.2 last week. That's rough, dude. That's rough.
For somebody that leads the league in QBR.
That's so bad. That's really bad. He still had 295 yards. But
he started the game 1 for 1 with 75 yards and a touchdown.
It almost looks like they just didn't have the ball all game. I mean, you're talking 8 carries and then 34 pass attempts.
Yeah, so they had a couple of picks to start drives. They had one where I can't think of the 49ers defender off the top of my head, but he made this crazy acrobatic over the top catch. And then there was another one, first play of the drive, if I remember. Tua's just rolling out left, comfortable throw. Tyreek's wide open and he airmailed it, and it became a pick. So they definitely had a couple of drives that ended super early. But yeah, Tua's about to turn that 19.2 into 91.2 this week.
Thanks.
Stamp it. It's happening. So let's move on to Monday Night Football. I feel bad for Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit, but dude, Joe Buck and Troy Aikman can't buy a bucket this season. They get Patriots Cardinals in week 14. Come on. Anyways, broadcaster diatribe aside, Patriots favored by 1.5 on the road. Mason, you're our Pats fan. Do you think you guys get this done on the road? Also, the total set at 44, by the way.
So if you watched last week's game against the Bills, you'll know what to expect this Monday because it was awful. I've never seen worse football in my life.
Simply put.
What'd you say?
That's simply put.
Right. Yeah. So yes, Belichick has an extra couple days to prepare, with obviously the week to prepare. But I don't think it'll be a close game. I just don't think we win. I just think the rosters for both sides is just not even close. Talent wise, is just not even close. Yes, we need to win. Yes, the Cardinals also need to win, but dude, this is going to be awful. I'm not even excited to watch it as a Pats fan, dude. But feed me D-Hop props, feed me Ramondre Stevenson props. That is a definite. But yeah, man, Mac Jones just looked awful last game. He definitely came back down to earth. I hope he comes back alive. I hope he, gets the job done this week, but I just don't see it happening. So
yeah, so let me hit on a couple of things because I think that's D-Hop, that's the move. Because we've seen now against Justin Jefferson and Stephon Diggs, 2 weeks in a row? What Bill Belichick was once known for, he is no longer able of doing. And if those guys go crazy, I think DeAndre Hopkins is in that same air. I think I like his props a ton. Ramondre Stevenson's a good call. I didn't even think about any Patriots props here. That's a good one against that Cardinals run defense. And yeah, I'm rolling with Arizona. Bill Belichick has a historically bad track record against mobile quarterbacks, and that Kyler Murray is. More firepower. Give me D-Hop, Hollywood Brown, Robbie Anderson over Devontae Parker, Hunter Henry, Ramondre Stevenson, and Kobe Myers any day of the week. And then my last note being, I can't remember. JT, take it away.
All right, I got you. I am on the complete opposite side of you guys, to be honest. Wow. I'm on the Patriots this week. I don't know, but it's strange just doing. I don't know if you guys ever look at the ESPN matchup predictor or whatever, but they've got the Cardinals at 64%, and then the spread is favoring the Pats. So that's kind of strange. You typically see them coincide correctly or together, but I don't know, dude. I like the matchup. I just saw. I haven't watched a ton of the Cardinals this year, to be honest. The one game that I played close attention to was when we played them, and their defensive line, dude, you can just shred them like on just halfback dives. You don't have to do anything fancy. You just run the ball up the middle and get you a smooth like 5-6 yards every carry. And the Patriots, if they can do that, they love it, and they will just spam it. They will spam halfback dive all day. And to me, I think the move, if you're looking to play like a prop, is the Ramondre Stevenson prop. I think that's the best prop that you can take. With Damian Harris still being out, he's going to be a bell cow still. I think Damian Harris might be questionable, but even if he comes back, he'll be on a snap count. I just would, hammer Ramondre Stevenson props. I think the Pats kind of just control this game, kind of bleed it out, make enough plays at the end. I also am not a Kyler Murray fan at all. I just think he's not that good. And I don't know. I think the Pats are at a good spot here. I don't know. I think it's more of the problem of the Cardinals not being able to stop the Patriots on offense. Weirdly enough, like you would think it's the opposite. But like seriously, I think it's not necessarily like you're not going to see the big like crazy 80-yard touchdowns or like deep crossers down the field where the blown coverage and you're like, wow, this offense is like fired up. No, it's going to be like bleeded out, like just I don't know, like work 10 to 15 play drives all the way down the field, get you a field goal one time, get you a touchdown the next. I think it's just going to be one of those games where they win like, I don't know, 20, 21, 17, something like that. Just like a nice kind of game like that. I think the over under at 44 is about where it should be. So I wouldn't touch that. I would lean under probably, but I probably won't play it.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of love for Ramondre Stevenson props here. I mean, last week I liked his rushing attempts prop, but ultimately game script kind of called me off, and I didn't end up betting it. JT, you were smart for giving me that kind of advice. This is the game you bet it, because I think there's a good chance the Pats are playing from ahead. And then also, if there's anybody who's going to spam halfback dive, it's the former defensive coordinator and defensive-minded head coach that is now the offensive coordinator for the Patriots at Matt Patricia. That dude is going to spam halfback dive. So totally love that. Okay, lastly, this was my selling point for why I like the Cardinals. So I remembered what I was trying to get at earlier. And basically, it's the complete opposite of what JT was just saying. So we'll see. We'll find out who's right. But all the Cardinals' firepower, I mean, Kyler and his legs, James Conner, all those wide receivers, yada, versus the Patriots wide receiver room, lack of talent across, the skill position groups, whatever. Right now, the Patriots' most dynamic offensive weapon is Marcus Jones, who's a slot corner and a kick returner. He got him their 7 points last week. So D-Hop and that crew versus Marcus Jones. I mean, I got to go with the Cardinals there. So, but we'll find out. JT may be right. That run game does kind of.
Danny Amendola won some games for him too. So I don't know, man.
The Danny Amendola, why is he catching strings out here, man? That ain't right. Danny's the man. Anyways, that'll do it for our 5-game preview. Not an exciting slate, in my opinion, but there is money to be made as we transition to our locks of the week segment. JT's the only one coming off a win this week, so I got to get back on track. Mason's the prophet of plus money play. So when it hits, hit the bank account, bro. You're going out the next night. So anyways, let's go ahead now. I got my 2-minute timer. That's the time we have to beat. I'll kick things off with a little teaser. I like that Raiders leg, basically down to a pick 'em, and I'm going Vikings plus 8.5. Like I said at the beginning of the show, if you're doing a teaser and you got the Vikings plus a touchdown against the Lions, they've been good, but they ain't been that good. But JT, let me throw it to you.
Yeah, give me it's kind of a safer play. It's gonna be minus 120 when you throw them together. We're gonna take the Vikings plus 10.5. You get even more cushion against the Lions, and then we're gonna take the Seahawks money line at home against the Panthers. You parlay those together, you get it at minus 120. I just like the value there. I think it's a safe bet, but I think it's also something that is it's gonna hit.
We got time to spare, so let me pull a Jeff Saturday and waste some clock. What actually, no, I'll finish it later. Mason, you got it.
No, you got it. Go ahead.
No. Let me hear. You got a minute.
You're acting like my lock's going to hit. But
wait. You just wait.
So we, similar with JT, I'm taking the Seahawks at minus 2.5 against the Panthers. And then I'm taking the Browns at plus 10.5 against the Bengals. Conference game. Give me Deshaun Watson after a week of practicing. He comes back big at plus 135 for the two-teamer.
The profit of plus money plays comes through once again. Even with me pulling my best Jeff Saturday impression, we had 40 seconds to spare. So well done. The point I was going to make, though, JT, for that Vikings game, maybe the reason the Lions are favored is Jameson Williams, right? Y'all had the 12th overall pick. Traded back to 32. Man's about to go crazy. This might be his first full week of action. Man might go insane. So if you're wondering, hit your Jameson Williams props this week and thank me later. Man might go dummy. So interesting.
That's why.
Like, is he definitely set to play? Like,
he played last week. So on a snap count, he did very little.
I would say I don't remember much from him, but I mean, he probably played limited snaps, right? Like,
I think he played 8 snaps, and then he was a gunner on special teams.
Damn, they got him at gunner.
They were just trying to get his legs loose. What you mad about?
That's it's a little strange for a first round pick.
He's the reason why the Lions are favored this weekend. So
could be. He's a dog. I think
he's a dog. He was a beast in college. Leukemia wide receiver 1. So, anyways, here, let's talk some honorable mentions for the good people. We got to make up some extra money this week. I think the Ramondre Stevenson props, rushing attempts. You could even do same game parlay if you want to boost it up because if you're on DraftKings, whatever they give you a SGP every day, you could do rush attempts, rush yards, anytime tutty. And again, you can thank me later. Do y'all have any other plays you want to toss out?
I don't know. I mean, most of the lines are set pretty well. I think you go Justin Jefferson over receiving.
Justin Jefferson props are hot for sure.
Yeah, either receptions or receiving yards. Last week had a really quiet week. I think he had like 47 yards or so. Had a touchdown that sealed the game.
He had like 8 catches though, didn't he? Have like 7, 8?
Yeah, he had a good amount of catches. Mostly kind of in the short game. Made some catches in some clutch moments. So definitely, it was a good football game for him. But as far as like props and things of that nature, kind of a down for him. And then last time they played the Lions, I think he had 17 yards on 3 receptions. So that's not happening again. There's just no way. Totally. So yeah, I would hammer any Justin Jefferson prop. They're not out yet, at least on DraftKings as of right now, but I don't think it really matters where the numbers are. I'm going to play the over. Probably going to play a same game parlay, throw his highest yardage total in there and get some extra value out of it.
I like it. Some other teaser leg options I think are intriguing. You get the Chiefs down to -3 against Denver.
Yeah.
If they don't win that game by 3, then they shouldn't be the 2 seed in the AFC or whatever they are. Ravens out to +8.5. The Steelers, they've been playing better, but I don't think they're beating anybody by 2 scores.
8.5 is great.
Yeah,
I love that as a teaser leg.
Yeah. And then what are the other ones? Cardinals to 7.5. That's a safe one. And then that Raiders Rams total, get it up to 49.5 and then slam under because there's no shot. Honorable mention to Vikings money line at +115. And then you can do a Dolphins and Chiefs money line parlay for -102. I will 100% be playing that because Dolphins need it and the Chiefs playing the Broncos. You didn't know. So, Mason, any other plays you want to toss out?
You guys hit on a lot of the props. So I was gonna say Chargers +3.5, but you guys kind of talked me off a bit. So I don't know. I think I like the Chargers this week. Something about it.
I think this is going to be a week that's live for player props. These lines are starting. I mean, they've already been sharp, but this week they feel extra razor sharp. So yeah, I think I'm playing player props pretty heavy this week. But that'll do it for our Week 14 NFL preview. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. Hit the like button if you did. If you're new around here, want to see more of us, more football content, hit that big red subscribe button and give us some of your favorite plays from the week. Any football thoughts you have, I respond to every comment, so drop it down below. But for JT Mason, my name's TJ. Until next week, we are signing off.